Old Slim Jim over here. Coach Mike McCarthy here on Shan and RJ 105.3 The Fan. We are live and on, Coach. What's up? How are you?
Doing great. Hey, man, training camp in Oxnard, it doesn't get any better than this.
My gosh.
This is awesome.
I'm already dreading going back. There's nothing worse than landing back at DFW Airport. And when the doors of the baggage claim, you wouldn't know about walking out of a regular airport, but walking out.
Mr. Private.
Bam.
It's been a couple days.
And that heat smacks you right in the face. It's awful. Brutal.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know how you do it.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Maybe like a 15, 20-minute practice today. I got a hangover like you wouldn't believe. I'm hurting. We went out
Still,
last
it's almost lunchtime. It's almost lunchtime. I still got a hangover.
My gosh.
That's not good.
You got any hangover cures, suggestions?
Ooh, heavy gluten, I think, usually does.
Heavy gluten helps
yeah.
with the hangover?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you're supposed to get like
Someone told me that, yeah.
a greasy meal.
Yeah.
I've heard like ramen at like 2 a.m. is supposed to be really good.
Oh, God.
Ramen at 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
You got to get out of that college phase.
Is that a prescribed medication chop there?
I got
I
out
thought
of
when
it.
you graduated college, you had to give up ramen noodles. That doesn't hold true anymore? Or?
I got out of it. He's getting back into it.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know about any gluten anymore, man. You're looking good. So tell us about these boxing classes.
Oh, it's been fun. Harold Nash and, we have a friend back here, Darren Pierce, over there in Frisco, and it's been just really cool for a number of us. I think about 5 or 6 coaches that have been involved. So it's been fun. Frankly, to be honest, it works with my schedule. I'm able to do it really early in the morning before work, and it's been good. But, it's just like anything. You are what you eat.
Is the eating schedule of a coach crazy?
Well, the problem, I think for all of us is it's the late nights. You're in there cranking, and the old brain craves those carbs. It's kind of like what you need right now. So,
So you need it.
it's just getting that under control, and just working through some other things.
What was your weakness or hardest thing to give up?
The 3 Ps, man: pizza, pretzels, and popcorn. That's
yeah.
Hot pretzel, most overrated food of all time.
But you got to have the raw
hot pretzel overrated.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's a big. It's like people who like crust.
Yeah,
What do you like?
what's wrong with that? I like
It's-
crust.
It's cardboard. You know what?
When you grew up in the 80s, that's kind of all you had.
Yeah.
So,
All you had.
Yeah. So
Maybe with mustard. You mustard or cheese
oh
or
yeah, I'm
plain?
mustard. I'm totally mustard. I'm not a big lover of cheese, no.
I don't know how you gave up the
Bet
pizza.
that went over well in Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, I don't know how you did
Yeah, I can say that now.
Because pizza is one of my favorite foods. I can't do it anymore. Like, it just makes my stomach just go into knots. But I refuse to give it up. I just suffer the consequences. I don't know how you give that up.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like, it's been the hardest thing for me.
Well, I'm human. I've had my moments, so yeah, it's definitely tough to give up.
Mike McCarthy out here on 105.3 The Fan as we get ready for a training camp practice. Coach, a lot of fans, a lot of media, we're looking at like the big names that have left in the offseason. We're like, the Cowboys took a step backwards. Like, normally we're trying to get closer, and Jerry's always being aggressive. What do you say to the Tolo listener who's like, we definitely took a step backwards in this offseason?
I think this is a normal progression of advancing as a football team. This has been my personal experience. When you're a draft and develop, program at the forefront of how you see your personnel advancing every year, you understand what some people will call as projection, but it's really the development that I believe in. And our younger players, and this doesn't show up on just a list of players on a depth chart, but the younger players will be a year better. Our connection between our older players and our younger players will be better. Really like the draft class. This is a class, actually I was standing out there. Our draft class was taking a picture with our strength staff and center, talking to Dak and Zach, and and they made the comment. They said, "Man, there's a lot of those guys going to be playing a long time." So they've made that kind of impression on our veterans, and I think that gives you insight of why we feel the way we feel about our roster. So, but yes, we're going to have contribution from young players early. That's part of being in this mode. I got a lot of experience in it. But at the end of the day, we got to win games, find a way to keep improving during the year, and hopefully we're blessed with the same health that we had last year. I thought that was a huge strength of ours going into the playoffs. We're a healthy football team, so I'm excited about this group. I say they're a fun group to coach. And in year 3, and I think we're all better.
Jerry opened up the training camp by talking about availability and setting the bar and standards. Was there any type of thought about a little bit of a cultural shift in the offseason or philosophically? Or I had heard that you guys definitely wanted to get a little bit tougher, which you feel like you did in the draft. Did any of that come into play in the offseason thinking?
Well, I know really, going back to year one into year two, it was important for us to get longer. I think the length of our football team is extremely and there's definitely more of it when you just look at our roster, and I clearly think that's been beneficial. Frankly, our play style, I was pleased with last year, but the discipline of our play style is where is a real focus for us. I mean, I've always looked at the game of football. Are you going to push it up to the edge, or are you going to run over the edge and pull back? And I think to get players to play consistently with the edge you want, you got to push it, and be willing to go over the cliff. And we've gone over the cliff a few times, but that's our approach. But we do definitely got to be better at the line of discipline, and that's a real focus. But our play style and physicality, is definitely something that I felt good about last year. But yeah, we can always be better in everything.
Is there an emphasis and a pressure on Dak, like there would be on some other quarterbacks this year who lose wide receivers, like Mahomes lost Tyreek and Rodgers loses Devontae? Is there a pressure on him to elevate the third wide receiver now, who's not really established player?
Yeah, I think really it's all part of the big picture. This offense, and it always will be, as long as I'm sitting here, is built around making the quarterback successful. We got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make Dak Prescott successful, because we're not going to get where we want to go if that's not the case. And I clearly believe this is all part of that process. So now when you have a rookie receiver, rookie tight ends, and younger perimeter players, that is so important. And this has been part of my experience where that franchise quarterback takes him under his wing, and it's all part of that development, and that's all part of that projection. I think the question earlier is why I'm excited about it, because that's a tremendous strength of Dak's. His natural leadership skill set is just it's just off the charts, and it's what everybody. So there's no drop off, and it's definitely a strength of his and something that we're tying to.
Have you noticed his arm strength or the arm angles more out here that we've heard Dalton Schultz and others talk about?
I've seen more of the arm angles. Obviously I'm not on either side of the ball catching it, so I think that I know the perimeter players have talked about, they can feel the velocity increase. But yeah, you can definitely see his ability to be, he's definitely more flexible on the elbow and the shoulder.
Mike McCarthy joined us here on 105 through the Fan. This at the end of last year, Pro Football Focus comes out with their rankings of all the players, like the teams, all that stuff, and
because we got Trevon later today.
We have Trevon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they put him at like 86th on the cornerback ranking list. Like
86th?
Something like that. It was high. It was
wow.
Low.
That's low.
It's low. High number, low ranking.
We're not a big fan of rankings.
Yeah, they're like, how do you? Yeah.
Except the number one morning show.
Oh, I mean, that's why I'm here.
But no, you during your off season when you were between jobs, you did kind of delve into analytics a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain like this ranking if you see it like the players?
Well, tell them why with the yardage.
Well, yeah, because they say he gave up 1,000 yards or whatever it is.
I get it. Not that, and I love the PFF product. I had the chance to. Chris Collingworth and Neil. I mean, I think they do a phenomenal job over. I had a chance to visit those guys down in Cincinnati. So, when you get behind the curtain, see, how they're doing it, and a lot of former coaches and just the way they approach. So, I mean, they're doing a great job collecting the data and analyzing it and so forth. So, I do like the sort of that, but. I think like anything else, there's an opinion. Their formula evaluation is going to be a little different than yours, it's going to be a little different than mine. But they're excited by Trevon. I mean, he's going to year 3. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's a lot of great football in front of that young man. So, yeah, I love the trajectory he's on. So, whatever ranking that comes out to, but I'm definitely glad he's on our team.
Does your defensive style or system call for him to play in a way in which, hey, get the football, be aggressive, and maybe that would lead to some bigger plays or yards to give up for that?
Well, I think this is all comes down to the, when people talk about discipline and use that as a critique of our team. But, to me, if you want to run fast, you got to run fast often, and then, but to be disciplined, the discipline part of that in the training it's no different than the game of football. If you want your play style to be aggressive, you got to spend time on the edge of the aggressiveness. And so I think, like anything, he's still a young player, but he plays beyond his years as far as the way he approaches the game, the way he sees the game. I mean, his anticipation and ball skills are elite, so in my opinion. But so I think there's still a lot of room for growth. But I think it's part of his aggressiveness, and playing. Some people refer to it as playing in phase or out of phase, or however how you guys look at it. But those are all very fair questions. But he is a young player that I think is just going to continue to get better and better.
All right, we got 2 left with Coach McCarthy before practice here on Shan and RJ. This is just a general question because of your experience with all the quarterbacks you've had about study time or homework off. And it's kind of, that's the Kyler Murray story, but not specifically to him. Have you had guys or seen a lot of guys that can get away with just pure natural ability without studying hard? And what is like a normal average study time for a quarterback? How much does it vary with the guys that you've had, just out of curiosity?
Well, I think there's more variables to that question. I think, part of it too is that, what kind of offense you run, the people around you, really what you're asking the quarterback to do and what part of his career is he in and things like that. So, I haven't been around, quarterbacks that don't study. That's not, I don't, so, and I don't have a comment on, how others do it. But, I think it's definitely part of it. I think especially today, I mean, defenses are doing more today than they did, 20 years ago. So, and that's a big part of it. This game, there's so much of this game that's played at the line of scrimmage. And I'll go on the other side of the deal. I don't think people realize how hard it is to play quarterback. I mean, these guys are astronomical, special because of what they do, and not only their IQ. So if you're a starter in the National Football League and they're talking about your studying skills, give me a break would be my answer. Because the command and offense, to play and deal with the things that you deal with, playing and play out, especially for so much at the line of scrimmage offense that you see today, that's a tremendous amount of responsibility on the quarterback. So they have more responsibility than anybody in the game of football, and you could already say in any sport. So I mean, those guys are special.
You didn't see this because you're staying here, so you don't have to deal with this traffic out front. There's about 4 miles worth of cars trying to get in here. There was, I think, 5 people at the Commanders' practice the other day. Did you expect this spotlight to be like this when you took this job? Or is this bigger than you even thought?
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, you don't work in the National Football League and you're not aware of the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, and how bright the light is. I mean, I think that's something that, in my time in this league, on the other side of the field, you're just aware of it. I mean, it's always been that way. So, and now having that opportunity, it definitely hasn't disappointed. It's definitely a very bright light that, you definitely wear sunglasses sometimes. But it's, I think it speaks volumes to our fans. We've got incredible fans. I mean, and what you think, forget about too, is what a great environment they create for us here to practice in and compete in. So it's very much appreciated, and I think our players do a great job after practice and recognizing that too. And Jerry will kick it off today like he always does. And but I think it's very, very special in sports, and Dallas Cowboys are number one at doing it. 20
minutes, 25 maybe.
What do you mean?
Practice time.
Length.
I'm sweating.
Just go right to the team portion of it. Just skip all the other stuff.
Out. Cafe Fiore.
117.
117. Yeah. That's 13 minutes short. Coach,
do you count the individual?
Huh?
Do you count the individual? You look like a guy that only shows up for the team period.
You definitely look like one of those guys.
I just go to the quarterbacks. I don't bother with the rest of those
special
players.
Teams, it doesn't.
Quarterback school is the best part anyways.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Coach.